Welcome everybody back to the podcast. It's good to have you here. I'm Rick, along with Big Show as always, and we got special guests in the house, Nelson Shields, friend of the show, football guy, Eagles fan. So you see where this is
Eagles,
going. Nelson, what's going on, man?
what's going on, y'all?
Uh,
I'm glad to be back.
hey,
Not just because of Super Bowl, but just glad to be back talking to y'all, talking football again.
good to have you back. Show, how you been doing?
Good, good. Not too bad.
All
Can't
right.
complain. Nobody would listen if I did.
Well, you shouldn't be complaining because, not only Nelson here, you're here, and both of y'all's teams are in the big game. And that's what we're going to
They
talk
are.
about today.
Yeah.
Now, this is another
I know,
unique one.
Rick, you don't I know you don't know what that feels like, but
I actually do know what it feels like, but we're not here to discuss my squad. We're here to discuss.
wasn't that back in the 80s though?
We were also in 2002. We just got beat by the Buccaneers.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. That was
Um,
you are right. I sit corrected.
now 3 years ago, the Eagles and the
Yes.
Chiefs met in the Super Bowl. Um, well, let me take it back even further because Nelson, since you're an Eagles fan, y'all were in it
hmm
in 2017 as well.
Yep.
But y'all beat the Patriots.
Right.
David beat the mighty Goliath. So
Right.
I know you was on cloud nine that night.
Right.
To
And
be
I,
To be
back,
honest, so was I.
to be
Screw
yeah,
the
everybody
Patriots.
was to be back in 2022, or excuse me, 2021. You faced the Chiefs, and I believe it was what 35-32. Was that the score?
35-38.
35-38. Okay, I know that okay. I know it was a field goal score, and it was in
Right.
favor of the Chiefs. And I know this is a revenge game for the Eagles. However, the 49ers last year had a revenge game against the Chiefs, and that didn't go nearly as well as planned. So I want to get into some of this stuff here. I'm going to start with you, Nelson. Since I said that the Eagles won in 2017, lost in 2021.
hmm
How are they a different team than they were 3 years ago?
I believe this year, okay, everybody said we had a defense back then, but I don't think so. I just think that people wasn't exploiting the right thing. I think we had two defensive ends, but what I've always yelled about the Eagles is we didn't have interior linebackers. And I feel like if you don't have interior linebackers, your defense is not going to be that great. You can be exploited. And this year we had two solid interior, linebackers that clearly are what make that defense go. Even though one of them is down and out for the season, I think that's what makes us much better than last year because we had an offense then and we got an offense this year. Of course, the running backs are different, but I didn't think Swift was that bad, I don't think it was Swift we had. I can't think of the running back we had, but it wasn't that much.
But he was no Saquon Barkley.
Right, he wasn't Saquon.
Now, since you brung up offense and defense, I want to ask you, Ryan, because the Chiefs won in 2021, obviously. They had
Yes.
what I consider to be a superior offense to what they have now. But in the last few seasons, we've seen the Chiefs defense grow and get way better. Very dominant.
2021 and our offense sucked. That's the year after Tyreek. Our wide receivers were trash. We had Tony and Hardman and what's his nuts?
But
Number
I think
24.
he did still put up better numbers than this year. And your
Mm-mm.
scoring average was better. I know that. This year they haven't scored
Well,
more than 32 points in a game.
true that, but I say our offense is playing better this year than it was then.
Now, do you
May
think
not be
offensively and
scoring as much.
defensively, is it enough to secure the victory?
Oh, we're not already picking who's going to win just yet. That's at the end of this.
No, no, I
That's
know
at the end
because
of this interview.
Uh,
okay, okay. Well, we can hold off on that then.
I mean, but of course, I mean, I'm a Chiefs fan. I'm gonna pick the Chiefs. Nelson's
Hmm.
gonna pick the Eagles, and
Yep.
we'll keep it pushing. But I mean,
Okay,
that's duh.
that's where I'm going with it. I'm the only neutral party here, and I'll give my pick as well.
I
But
just don't
Nelson,
think that the superior offense. I don't think they had a superior offense in 2021 compared
now
to
that
now.
they weren't like the 2018, 2019 Chiefs where they was just killing them.
Oh yeah,
But
that we haven't been that way in a while.
yeah, um, but it just seems like this year they've struggled a whole lot more than they did just a year or two ago.
15 wins, one loss. We weren't struggling.
But I credit a lot more of that to the defense this year. I mean,
It
that
doesn't
defense
matter. We
plays
scored
lights.
one more point than the opposition. That's all that matters. A W is a W in the National Football League.
Yes, but if your defense puts up more points to give you those W's,
Our
then
hasn't been
the
scoring
defense is
on
going to.
defense. I don't even think we have any turnovers for scores.
Right. But if you're winning 42-40, but the following season you're winning 29-28, yeah, you're still putting up a W,
Yeah.
but the offense hasn't gotten better.
Right.
Yeah, well that 42-40 defense was back in 2018. That that was before Spags.
But you had Spags last year, and I still think the
True
defense is
that.
better this year. And
Oh, I
that's what it's
mm,
about too, because if you have a defensive coordinator, the mark of a truly good defensive coordinator, you get better every year.
I'm the stat guy, right? So I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that our defense isn't as good as it was last year. But keep
While
talking. Go
you
ahead.
look that up, Nelson, let's talk about coaching for a second. Nick
Okay.
Sirianni, um, he called a decent game in 2017, but
Hmm.
he was outcoached. Let's just
Yeah, he
face it.
was.
It is what it is. Andy outcoached him. It was the Andy Reid Bowl.
Yeah, I mean,
It
a lot
was.
of, if you talk to a lot of people, they said that's the only reason why we lost.
Okay. Do you think that he's learned enough this season or in the last couple seasons that he's going to be a little different this year? And if so, will it be more conservative? Will he try to do too much, not enough? Do you think
I,
he's learned anything?
I think he has, and I think that's been a big thing this year. He hasn't jumped in and been that, that snotty, bossy. You see him on the sideline where he had that arrogant, snotty. He hasn't been that much like that. They've actually put the camera on Kellen Moore a lot more than Sirianni this year. And Sirianni is allowing Kellen Moore and Big Fangio to do their thing. And all Sirianni is doing is he's chiming in a little, but he's the one that's being the man to say, okay, yeah, let's go for it on this fourth down, or let's do that. But he's allowing his coordinators to make the calls, as well as like a lot of people didn't like what Jalen Hurts said, but it's true. Kind of like he's taking the what he say, the straight jacket off of him and
Yeah.
let him
Yeah.
kind of do his thing a little more. But I mean, I think from the Jalen Hurts standpoint, Sirianni was doing that to protect Jalen from himself because he's been battling injuries, and he, like last year, he did not look like himself at all. So, well, I mean, coming down the stretch, the last 7-8 games.
I would agree with that.
What was it early in the year that he like went off the handle or something and like ticked the team off? Was that like early in the year or was that around that last 9 games you're talking about?
You saying Jalen Hurts?
No, Sirianni, where he took the team off because he was like fighting with the fans or some
No, that
crap
was
like
this
that.
year. That was earlier this year when they were basically 2-2.
So
And
it
I
was
don't
still
know
in
if
the early part of the year.
somebody obviously talked to him, because if you think about it, after that, we only lost one more game the rest of the season.
Yeah, you guys were a different. Whoever talked to him, you guys were a different team.
Yep.
But to go back to your last stat,
Yes, sir.
last year our defense was ranked number 2. This year we're ranked number 9.
Wow. Okay. Okay, I stand corrected then because um I just thought that, they were really doing it this year.
Which I can agree with that because I've actually told people that the defense this year for the Chiefs, I don't think it's near as good as the defense
It's
last year.
I think it's just as good. It's just different because we don't have that Sneed, Legarius Sneed there to shut, to be
Mm.
the bully in the secondary. I mean, he tore up every starting wide receiver we faced last year.
All right,
I
I'm gonna divert from that for a second since you brought that
Okay.
up because I want to break it down into a few key positions, a few of them.
Okay.
All right.
And the question's for both of you. Nelson, you're
Okay.
the guest, so you answer first.
All right.
Who's the better quarterback in this matchup?
Oh, that's easy. It's Mahomes.
All right. I
I
shouldn't even
mean, as
have
much as I hate to say it, it's Mahomes.
I shouldn't even have to ask you, Big Show, because
Yeah.
I know better.
I mean, of course, it's
It
Mahomes.
if you say Hurts, I'll fall out and have a heart attack on this show live.
Even though
Nah,
when they played in the Super Bowl, he outplayed Mahomes
he
last time.
did. He
But
did,
it's
and
still
still went home
Mahomes
with a loss.
because to me the simple answer to that is you give Mahomes what Hurts has right now, and I don't think nobody will watch the NFL
And
because it'll already just go to
I'm gonna be honest with you. Um,
It depends who the coach
four
is.
four out of 7 Super Bowls from Tom Brady, he was outplayed by the other quarterback on
what?
his wins. He was outplayed, but New England's defense or some key stops and the offense made a few more plays. So that's where that comes from. Not by much. It wasn't like he was embarrassed by the other team, but Tom did enough in the end to secure the dub. So
Hmm.
I can see that.
Okay.
Now, who's the better running back? Start with you, Big Show.
Oh, Saquon, without a doubt.
Thank you. I mean, we could talk about stats. We could talk about all kind of things. I mean, um I've had an argument with Tay. All right, y'all know him, Kevin, and he wants to always say Pacheco this, Pacheco that, and I constantly tell him, man, Pacheco is an average running back. You
Let me tell
know.
you something about Isaiah Pacheco because I used to work at Hibbett Sports. I was the manager. He runs like a little kid who's trying on a fresh pair of shoes. He's got that
This is
style,
true.
but that
If
doesn't make
Pach-
him better than Saquon Barkley.
Well, I just
if
told Tay
if
like
Pacheco, go
he
ahead.
runs hard. Yes, he runs
Yes.
hard, but I'm Tay had made he had made a point saying that Pacheco could start on at least 25 of the teams in the NFL, be a starter. And I said, you
That ain't
crazy.
saying much. That ain't saying much though. If Pacheco had Kareem Hunt's vision, he would be a very dominant running back. Isaiah Pacheco's problem is his vision.
I like that.
And I'll say this too, especially with running backs, it's the scheme. Because we've always said it before. You switch Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith, Barry
Oh,
Sanders still
Lord.
owns every record in the book.
Yep.
Emmitt Smith is nothing in that Lions offense.
Yep.
Only if he didn't retire early.
You think so?
I mean, if he still retired early, he'd be right where he was at. Maybe a couple more thousand yards.
For Emmitt?
But
No,
what?
for
Oh, okay.
Barry. For
Okay. Okay.
Barry.
That's why we
For
asked. Okay.
Barry.
Yeah.
For
Yeah. That's
Barry,
Oh,
okay.
because
okay.
because Barry, retired early. So if he would have had the same mindset, it wouldn't matter what team he was playing on.
I agree with that. All right. So
But
Ryan.
also kind of on that deal though, Barry may not have been as good on Dallas because they had too many divas on that team. Barry
Yeah.
was the only offensive player for the Lions. He
That
Uh,
was the
that that's
man. I mean,
that's
he
true.
was the man. I mean, they had Herman Moore, they
that's what I was
had
about to
some
say.
of them other guys, but the offense went through Barry Sanders, especially in the Wayne Fonts days.
Yeah. Yeah. The 6 quarterbacks in 2 weeks. Wayne Fonts. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Ryan.
Yes, sir.
This is the part of the show we're going to get to that is going to be highly opinionated. So I'm starting with you. A lot
Must
has
be
been
about the
made
refs.
of the refs. Yep, the crucial calls going for the Chiefs all season. So it's kind of a dual question. I know you know the first part. Do you think it'll be a factor on Sunday? And if
And
so, in
what?
what way?
I hope that there's not an egregious call, that people are complaining about, but the teams that complain about the referees have a losing mentality. And if those fans out there are saying, we already had to fight the refs, they're getting in a built-in excuse for losing. If they lose the game, that's the first thing they're going to say. It's the refs' fault. Now, have we been uh have we gotten some good calls on our end? Of course we have. I mean, most winning teams do, especially at home. Do I think it's going to be a factor in this game? I'm sure there's going to be a play or two that it's going to be questionable because that's what all the talking heads are talking about. But I also feel if everybody thinks that the refs are on the take and the NFL's rigged, why are they betting on any team other than the Chiefs?
I agree. And listen, I'm your rival. I'm your rival, and I will tell you to a man, we had you beat. The ref didn't beat us. We fumbled the
Yeah.
ball.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
and to
I mean it's
everybody
true.
that's lost to that team, yes, some calls didn't go your way, but the refs don't call the plays either. If you got to play to get 1 yard, get a yard, not half a yard.
Yeah, I think it boils down to the fact that NFL's in bed with all the gambling sites and things like that. That's why it's such a big deal.
And I hate that because everybody brings up that word, scripted. And I don't believe the NFL is scripted. And
If it's
you know,
scripted, why does it people watch?
well, people watch the
See, to me, if
WWE,
it
but
was,
okay.
if it was scripted, I can't see them scripting the Eagles versus the Chiefs again when you had the darling Detroit Lions. You could have went Detroit Lions versus Josh Allen.
Buffalo.
You could
Yeah.
have went Detroit Lions versus Chiefs because remember it was a big deal that Detroit beat the Chiefs at the beginning of the year. I think it was last year.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So you had a number of storylines that were better. And I know Philly travels well. I know Kansas City is starting to really travel well themselves, if not already been traveling well as far as to these host teams.
Mm-hmm.
But like, could you imagine like Detroit and everybody following that story and loving them and they putting up thousands of points a game and then to turn around or even a better storyline, the rookie quarterback versus the old top tier gunslinger Mahomes. If it was scripted, they could have had a bunch of better storylines.
Yeah, but they gave up a double nickel against you guys.
Mm-hmm. That's why I never had I mean, that's another, I don't want to take from the show. That's another whole story that I could talk about with the Eagles and how I don't like, even now with ESPN, okay? It's just people hate Philly. Okay. I know people hate Kansas City, but I think they hate Philly even more. For example, I'm gonna go real quick. When I watched ESPN all the way up till we, started doing this show, all they've been talking about is how you can stop Philly's run, how you can stop their offense. I haven't heard a one commentator talk about how you can stop Mahomes or what you can do to stop the Chiefs. They all talking about what you can do to stop Philly. So it's just I don't want to say it's a bias, but it's like, I think to me, it's ESPN covering their ass because every game Philly has had in the playoffs, they pick Philly to lose, starting with Green Bay, who we beat in Brazil when they were full fledged, when they were, this supposedly this top team. So I'm gonna leave it there because I don't want to get off script.
I'm with you on that, but also every team that the Chiefs play in the playoffs, ESPN picked the other team as well.
Yep, you're right.
I
I'll
think they
give
do
you
that
that.
for different
So
reasons.
Or or,
They do that because
or I want to say this.
If the upset happens, they say, well, we you heard it here first.
I want to say that they were okay with the Chiefs winning until they got to Josh Allen, because they
right.
had put all their money, pushed all their money to the center of the table on Josh Allen. Go ask Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah,
I'll take it a step
retarded,
further. Not even Josh Allen. You bring Joe Burrow into the equation, and for whatever reason, people want to say that Cincinnati should beat Kansas City. How? I mean, Ray Charles can see that, and he's blind. How? I mean, to me, Cincinnati, their window of opportunity is closed.
Because Joe has done it. That's why. That's why they say that Joe has done it.
Yeah.
In the AFC champ. That's why they're saying that.
Well,
Josh has yet to beat us in the
my quarterback has beat Kansas City. That doesn't really say much.
Not in the postseason, brother.
That's true.
That's what I'm talking about.
True. Okay.
That's what I'm talking
about.
That's
what you're saying. Now back to the players.
Your team has to make the postseason first.
Yeah, we'll get to that dream some other year. 2027, y'all. Wide receiver. Who's the best wide receiver on the field Sunday? Nelson.
That's us. It's gonna be AJ Brown.
Okay, I want to ask you why. I want to ask you why you picked AJ Brown, because he's been very quiet, not just in the playoffs, but the last couple of weeks of the regular season as well.
Well, I think what he's trying to do, he's fighting the inner battle with himself, not to be that diva receiver saying, throw me the damn ball. I'm open every play,
Dude has been reading books on the sideline about psychology.
Yeah. He's a diva. He got to draw attention to himself somehow. That's what they do. So he's trying to or let me say this. I think he's going to be the best receiver on the field, not because of name, but because of just physique and skill set. But I think Smith is going to be the one that's going to have the numbers. His numbers is going to beat any receiver on the field. That's even including the Chiefs. I think he's going to be the one that puts up the numbers.
I honestly think that the wide receiver position on both teams pretty much comes up to a wash. Granted, AJ and Smith have played well, but if you put them up against D-Hop, just particular skill set, or Hollywood Brown, they're interchangeable in my opinion. Maybe a slight edge to AJ Brown, but y'all do not look over Xavier Worthy. Do not look past that rookie.
That little dude's
Don't
quick.
Look past it. Don't look past it.
Honestly, I like him more than D-Hop, and I like him. I look at him more as a threat than D-Hop. Schuster, all of
D-Hop's not really a threat. He's more of a possession receiver.
Yep, that's what I've been telling people.
But Worthy is your speedster, but Hollywood Brown is just now coming into his own in the offense. He's only played in like 6 or 7 games this entire year because he was injured. So if they start force feeding him the ball, like I said, that's where I think I'll give the Eagles a slight edge, but it's pretty close. It's not like by a lance. It's not like the running back position where Saquon is, head and shoulders above our running backs.
I like the slight edge, but I would give y'all the nod if Rice was playing. That's what, with the 4 of them, that's a scary, you have Rice something. You have something similar to what Green Bay had, which is not necessarily a number 1 receiver, but all of these receivers can do something,
Yeah, Rice is when he was playing, he was what Juju would be but a better fit in the offense. He would play Juju's position.
All right, Big Show.
Yes, sir.
Best tight end on the field Sunday.
It depends which tight end shows up. I mean, obviously you'd say Kelsey is in stats, but the man hasn't been himself this year. You guys, Goddard is your guys' tight end, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna call it a tie, man. Depending on how Kelsey plays, like if he is able to get in that middle and get in that zone area, by all means he'll be the best. But just before kickoff, I'll say it's pretty much a tie.
Nelson?
Um, I'm gonna say it's a tie because I feel like I think Kelsey still has a little more skill than Goddard, but I think Goddard, you can clearly see Goddard has a lot more speed than Kelsey. You could tell Father Time is catching up with Kelsey a little bit. But I mean,
Now, who's the
Watch out
second
for
tight end on both squads?
Gray. Gray's
Gray?
ours. Watch out. He'll probably have 2 tubs this weekend.
we got a Calcutta,
Okay.
which he's not that bad. He actually does well when Goddard's not playing. And then, believe it or not, we have a receiver that's 6'7", I believe, that everybody thinks is a tight end, our backup tight end, Wilson, but he's not a tight end. He's a receiver. It's kind of
Sounds like
like
a toddler.
similar to what I think. I used to think Watson was a tight end for the Chiefs, but he's actually a receiver. He's just so tall.
Yeah.
Yep.
Finally, with the skill positions, I want to look at the defense as a whole. So it can be your line and your secondary. Who's got the best defense out there Sunday? Nelson, we'll start with you.
We do. Our stats say it. We number one. I mean, we can get pressure on pretty much any quarterback. Any quarterback we've seen this year, we can get pressure on them with 4 linemen.
Can you get pressure on Mahomes, though? I've seen
Yep.
this man bootleg
Easy.
too many times. He bootlegs to the right, and he gets 10, 15 yards before he gets shoved out of bounds. Every team.
That's yes, we can. I think that's gonna be the key to our defense. Is if we can pressure Mahomes with those 4 linemen, he's not gonna be able to get those big runs off, what he kills people with. I even heard a commentator say that Mahomes is probably gonna run the ball like 15 times this game.
Okay, so if that holds true, how does your secondary hold up if he gets that ball out in a hurry?
For me, the secondary got to play like they've been playing. You know, Mitchell and our nickel guy that we got from Iowa. I can't think of his name right off the bat. The 2 rookies, I like them because they fast. The person that scares me, believe it or not, is the one with the name, which is Slay. He doesn't look as good as those other 2, but he still has that instinct and that pedigree. I think our secondary will be good because they don't allow explosive plays unless if you watch the Eagles, explosive plays they've given up is from slants and things like that. It's nothing over the top. And I think
that plays into Travis Kelce having a good game then.
It does, but we also tackle well. That's something we didn't do last year. We tackle very well. Our linebackers, that's why I'm glad we have interior linebackers this year.
Big Show, do you agree with that?
Very well.
Do I agree that they have good linebackers? Sure, why not?
That they have the best defense on the field Sunday.
Statistically speaking, yes. I will say they have the best defense on the field.
All right, then that being said, we're not talking about statistics now. We're talking intangibles. So I'm going to start with you, Ryan.
Yes, sir.
Who is the most important person offensively, defensively, special teams on the Chiefs Sunday night? And who is the X factor for your team in order to win the Super Bowl?
That is a really good question. What was the first part again?
Who's the most important player that's going to suit up for Kansas City Sunday?
Nelson, can you holler at me your defensive line, the name of your guys?
You have Milton Williams. You have Carter, of course. You have Smith Jr. You have Sweat. And I miss him, Davis from Georgia. And then there are a couple guys.
Who plays
Um,
the right end? Who plays the right defensive end?
right defensive end is I believe Sweat.
Okay. So
And
to
we pose
answer your question,
Huff, also Huff. You
Huff.
know, Huff is supposed to be the big play guy, but he hasn't done nothing for us.
So I would say that the most important position on our field will be Joe Tooney, who's playing left tackle. That's
Okay.
going to be the most important guy. And I don't think that the Eagles are going to be able to just rush forward. Now, I do think on certain occasions they are going to get through because they are that good. Man to man, they're going to beat their guy in front of them maybe 30, 40, 50% of the time. However, I don't think it's going to be as easy as some Eagles fans might think that they're just going to be able to rush forward and totally disrupt the Chiefs, because the one thing the Chiefs have is phenomenal coaching, and they adjust better than any other team in the NFL throughout the game in their adjustments, in my humble opinion.
Nelson, who's the most
Uh,
important person on the Eagles?
It's Zach Bond. It's the middle linebacker. If you look at the past 3 years with the Eagles, we have not had a dominant middle linebacker, interior linebacker. This man went from a special teams player on the Saints to a first team all pro interior linebacker with the Eagles. He had like 116 tackles. He had plenty of forced fumbles, including one in the NFC Championship. You know, he flies all over the field. This guy. So now to me, saying that's going to be the factor in this Super Bowl versus the Chiefs, people are going to see what I'm talking about. The linebackers we had then were terrible, but they
Funny.
were covered because we had pretty good D backs and we had pretty good pass rushers.
Now
But as you see with the
it's
Chiefs, they had a tight end that was tearing us up.
now it's funny that you mentioned that people are going to see, because people are going to see this show just like they did 2 years ago. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's out there for people to go back and look at.
Yep.
So this is put up or shut up time right here. As we wrap it up, I'm gonna start with you, Nelson. Who's winning this game, and what will the final score be?
It's going to be, and I know people gonna laugh at this, but it's going to be 35-24 Eagles. I think
Wow! Wow!
this,
Wow! Wow!
and
Wow!
this is what I'm gonna say. We're gonna do what we've done all year long. We're gonna play this. We're gonna get a lead. We're gonna barely hold it, and we're gonna wear them out in the fourth quarter. We're gonna give the Chiefs a taste of the medicine that they give people, which eventually is wearing them out. They wear them out in the fourth quarter. But see, that's what we do. That's what we do with the run, with that offensive line, and with that defensive line. We just wear them out. And then the floodgates open and it's pretty much over.
Okay. Big Show, same question. Who's winning? What's the score going to be?
I don't even know why we need to play the game now. I mean, shoot. I don't even want to watch with that prediction. The Chiefs are going to win. They're going to be the only team to ever go three back to back to back. Score's going to be 34-30, Kansas City Chiefs. And
Whoa!
the
Whoa!
Chiefs are what? Hold on, let me finish.
Oh,
The Chiefs are gonna. I mean, the Eagles are gonna be up. They're gonna mess up, and they're gonna give Mahomes just enough time to go down and score the touchdown.
Mm.
I kid you not. when you said 34-30, that is the exact same score I wrote in my notes for my prediction.
Yes.
However,
you got the
Eagles
Eagles going
34, Kansas
That's
City
fine.
30.
That's totally fine. Both of y'all are going to be upset, but that's all right.
I have no skin in this game, so I'm not going to be upset. I would just like it to be a ref-free game. I mean, there's going to be flags. I don't want the next day to be talking about, well, if this penalty hadn't happened, Kansas City wouldn't have did this, or Philly would have had to do that. I would rather this year, and I hate to say this about the Super Bowl, I'd rather it be a blowout, one way or the other. That way we can say this team was clearly superior. I don't want no help from anybody in stripes, regardless of which way the game goes.
If you listen, because I like to listen to the opposing team's sports talk radio throughout the week. If you listen to the Philly radio stations, they all say it's going to be a blowout. The Philly's just going to blow the Kansas City Chiefs out.
That's the home team. Now we got to wrap it up.
It's not going to happen.
We got to wrap it up. Nelson, I appreciate you being on the show, and this is recorded now.
Hopefully you'll come back next week.
Big show with you know what? Win, lose, or draw, I'm coming back. I know I got really busy. I could not come back, but I'm gonna make time.